fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The air crackled with residual magic, the acrid scent of burnt flesh clinging to my nostrils. Before me, Lord Valerius, the self-proclaimed destroyer of worlds, quivered like a newborn fawn caught in a blizzard. He was a being of immense power, feared across galaxies, yet he looked like he was about to void his bowels, and it was all thanks to me. Schedule K1, Royalties from the Interdimensional Mining Consortium. Where is it, Lord Valerius? My voice was calm, almost soothing, a stark contrast to the inferno I felt brewing inside. The obsidian walls of his fortress, usually pulsing with dark energy, were now dull, reflecting my own no-nonsense expression. Valerius swallowed, his Adam's apple bobbing nervously. I don't understand. I paid my dues to the celestial exchequer. I sighed, adjusting my glasses. The celestial exchequer is a known fraudulent entity. They're running a classic pyramid scheme, preying on unsuspecting despots, and you, Lord Valerius, are about to pay the price for tax evasion. Again. My name is Auditor Vance, and I am an auditor for the Interdimensional Revenue Service. Sounds glamorous, doesn't it? It's mostly spreadsheets, aggressive negotiations, and the occasional near-death experience. This case, however, was proving to be exceptionally complex. Valerius, despite his terrifying reputation, was undeniably attractive. Tall, with raven hair that cascaded down his broad shoulders, eyes that shimmered with captured starlight, and a jawline sharp enough to cut diamond. Too bad he was also a delinquent. I simply forgot, he stammered, a pathetic excuse coming from a being who could incinerate planets with a flick of his wrist. Forgot to declare billions of Solaris in off-world holdings. Lord Valerius, that's hardly believable, and I also believe you omitted to state you income from the souls you have reaped. Those souls were not for income. So where do you classify it, Lord Valerius? Are they a tax-deductible expense? Don't be absurd. I place the tax return on the sacrificial altar, then explain to me where they are on this document. I'm sure you're aware that if you do not correctly fill out this return, the consequences may be unpleasant. He flinched. I can't find the records. Then I'm afraid I'll have to proceed with an audit. An audit, he whispered the word as if it was the name of some forbidden ritual. Yes, a thorough examination of your finances, assets, and liabilities. I'll need access to all your accounts, ledgers, and receipts. And of course, I'll need to verify the existence and value of those souls. He groaned, sinking to his knees. Anything but that, I'll do anything. That's when I saw it, the flicker of something ancient and powerful in his eyes. Not fear, not defiance, but a recognition, a deep and primal connection that resonated within my own soul. A spark of undiscovered magic ignited inside me, a warmth spreading through my veins that had been dormant for centuries. Anything, I asked, my voice barely a whisper, suddenly aware of the heat radiating from his skin, the intoxicating scent of ozone and dark chocolate that filled the air. He looked up, his gaze locking with mine. Anything. For the next few weeks, my life became a blur of arcane accounting and forbidden attraction. I spent my days poring over Valerius's convoluted financial records, deciphering demonic ledgers, and navigating the labyrinthine bureaucracy of the interdimensional markets. And my nights were something else entirely. Forced proximity, it turned out, was an aphrodisiac. Trapped in his fortress while I audited his finances, we couldn't escape the simmering tension that crackled between us. Every accidental brush of our hands, every stolen glance sent shivers down my spine. I discovered that beneath the intimidating facade, Valerius was surprisingly vulnerable. He craved knowledge, companionship, and a connection that transcended his role as a feared warlord. One evening, while I was meticulously tracing the flow of funds from his illicit weapons trading operation, Valerius approached me, his eyes dark with an intensity that made my breath catch in my throat. Auditor, he said, his voice low and husky, I can feel it too, this connection, it's undeniable. I tried to ignore the pull, the undeniable truth that resonated within my soul. I'm just here to do my job, Lord Valerius. He chuckled, a low rumble that vibrated through the room. You're a terrible liar, Auditor, and I'm starting to suspect you're much more than just an IRS agent. He reached out, his fingers tracing the curve of my jaw, A jolt of energy coursed through me, unlocking something deep within my subconscious. Visions flooded my mind, ancient temples, forgotten languages, and a destiny I never knew existed. What was that? I gasped, pulling away. You have magic, Aliner, he whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. Powerful magic, dormant for centuries. You are one of the fated. The fated, a legend whispered among the stars, a prophecy of beings destined to shape the fate of the universe. Could it be true? Could I, Aliner Vance, tax auditor, be something more? I don't understand, I stammered, overwhelmed by the revelation. I do, Valerius said, his voice filled with a newfound conviction. We're meant to be together, Aliner, fated mates, destined to rule together. But first, he paused, his eyes hardening. First, we have to deal with the celestial exchequer. They're not just running a pyramid scheme, they're stealing magic, draining power from the universe itself. He took my hand, his touch sending a surge of energy through me. Together we can stop them, but it will be dangerous. Are you willing to risk everything? I looked into his eyes, saw the raw power and the vulnerability hidden beneath the surface. The spark of attraction had ignited into a raging inferno, and I knew I couldn't turn away. What about my job? I asked, a weak attempt at levity. He smiled, a genuine, breathtaking smile that banished the shadows from his face. Consider it a temporary leave of absence. We have a universe to save and taxes to collect. He pulled me closer, his lips brushing against mine. The kiss was electric, a fusion of magic and desire that sealed our fate. But the next morning brought a rude awakening. As I stepped out of the fortress with Valerius to confront the exchequer, I was met by something unexpected, another IRS agent. And this one looked even more serious than I did. Aliner Vance, she said, her voice cold and devoid of emotion. You are hereby suspended from duty, pending investigation into allegations of collusion with a known tax evader. Furthermore, you are in violation of Section 47B of the Interdimensional Revenue Code, fraternizing with the enemy. But I began to protest. Silence, she snapped, and Lord Valerius, you are now subject to a Level 5 audit, effective immediately. This includes asset seizure, imprisonment, and the potential confiscation of all your souls. Valerius roared in defiance, his eyes blazing with power, but the other agent didn't flinch. She held up a small device, a gleaming silver badge that emitted a field of pure bureaucratic authority. Resist, she said, her voice barely a whisper, and I will personally ensure your tax returns are audited for the next millennium. Valerius froze, his rage instantly extinguished. He looked at me, his eyes filled with desperation. Aliner, he pleaded, what do we do? I stared at the agent, at the badge that represented everything I had ever known. And then I looked at Valerius, at the man I was destined to be with, the man who needed my help. A slow smile spread across my face. I have a plan, I said, my voice filled with a newfound confidence. And it involves a lot of spreadsheets, a few loopholes, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of magic. But as I went to pull out my device to contact my lawyer, the IRS agent pushed a button on her badge. I can't allow that, Ms. Vance. As you know, that device is to be used solely for company purposes. Also, as a side note, it appears you've underreported a number of deductions on your quarterly reports. Let's take you in for questioning, and then perhaps we can deal with this tax evader. Before I could react, she pulled out a pair of energy-nullifying handcuffs and slapped them on my wrists. I looked at Valerius, pleading in my eyes. I could see the fury building up inside of him. I was his fated mate. He needed to help me. As I was pulled away, I heard the agent whisper to Lord Valerius, "Unfortunately, this is a Level 5 audit, and I am required to complete it. Now, about those souls.